In today's shift, we spot one of the most interesting number plates I've ever seen. A cab driver tries brooming a job off to me. And what reward will I get for returning this mobile phone? Let's go.
Good afternoon all. You join me at 4 o'clock. Canning Town. I'm at E1 Taxis. The issue is that it's school holidays. It's 4 o'clock. I'm cutting it fine to have a reasonably good day. You'll have seen on previous shift videos that school holidays are terrible, usually, because there's less activity happening in town, less people commuting in as they're spending time off with their families or they go away, that kind of thing. At least there's no school rush traffic. Let's go.
I get to the Tower of London about 20 past 4 and there's cabs going up the ramp. I'm hunting around Central in my usual hunting grounds, but I can't find any sign of work at all. This is seriously dire. And it's not until nearer 5 o'clock when my first hand goes up. But interestingly, here on Piccadilly, I'm on the near side lane. There's a cab driver with his light on overtaking me in the offside lane. Now you'll see this, that when the gent actually hails, he's actually hailing that cab that overtook me. Now whether the cab didn't stop because he'd gone too far at that point or because he knew he was overtaking me, who knows. But luckily I see the job and managed to get it. I think I would be fuming if that job went to the other driver after this long waiting. Anyway, it's the first one to get me started. We're off to the Connaught Hotel. Because of where we are, really quite limited on what I can do. Just take that first left into Regent Street, flow it all the way up, left into Maddox Street. En route, I witnessed this DPD driver turning around in the middle of the road. Not too sure what he's up to here, as this is actually a one-way street. Forward into Grosvenor Street, and when we get to Grosvenor Square, I'm going to do a left into Carlos Place and drop down into the Connaught that way. The gentleman lets me know that his wife is just popping in there quickly, grabbing a few bits, and we're going to go on to New Bond Street afterwards. We actually sit for quite some time just out the Connaught and just get involved in a bit of a conversation. About 5 or 10 minutes to be precise. The lady comes back and we're on to our next stop. He's actually after a bit of New Bond Street that's up the very, very top in the one-way section. So I let him know that it's probably quicker if I drop him on the corner of Brook Street and New Bond Street. He's fine with this. So, leaving Carlos Place, we do right into Mount Row, this little mews on the back here, left into Davies Street, and then right into Brook Street. Just going over the lights here and just nudging in, finding a little space to stop and drop my passengers there. One job down, successful.
I was not looking forward to that start. Just coming in and following multiple cabs and then seeing the cab, like, 3 cabs in front get a job. It seems to be a bit busier over here in the West End in like Regent Street. Lots of people outside Hamleys and that, but that's like school holiday kind of paradise. More annoying and difficult about this shift is that the clocks went back yesterday, so it gets dark about 4:30. So we're like 20 past 5 now, and I've got to power through the rest of the shift until about 11 o'clock till I go home. So I've only got 5 to 11. I've only done one job. So really I've got like 6 hours to try and hammer it out. It's not going to be as good as normal, but loving life. Wicked. Let's see what we can do.
So I head off onto another hunt, and you'll see in the middle of the road of St George Street, they've actually moved the Green Cabman's Shelter. This was a little bit further north at Hanover Square, but this is being refurbished and will hopefully be open soon. You might not know, but recently with 4 other cab driver colleagues, we ran between all 13 green shelters and raised a lot of money for the Cabman Shelters Fund, just over £3,000. About 10 minutes later, I'm right within the magic circle, Piccadilly Circus, and I have this lady hop on in just near Coventry Street. Now, she says De Hems. Comes to me instantly, because if you know your Belgian beers, you know that De Hems is probably one of the best places in London you can go to. But it's not very far from where we are. It's actually just on Macclesfield Street. If this was the kind of job that came up on a Thursday, I would most certainly say to the passenger, you're going to be better off walking. And even in this instance, I do say, look, it is an incredibly short job. Are you sure you want me to go there? And she's fine with it because she just appears to be a bit lost. And she said, look, I'd rather you take me there. I don't want to get any more lost. Right into Shaftesbury Avenue, right into Macclesfield Street. It's been a while since I've been there, to be honest. But if you ever bump into me and I'm not driving my cab, I'll have a delirium, please. I go for a little bit more of a drive, but as it's been a bit of a slog so far, I join the RAC because I see that there's no cabs there. You'll know this is one of my favourite ranks, and whilst it can feel slow when you're on there, you're never there for much longer than 10 minutes.
I have another development for you all as well. My ERAD is on the way out. So my cab's done about 147,000 miles, 6 years old. It's been great. But since coming back from Disney, a knocking noise has occurred. I've had it verified. It's going to go bang at some point. Now, you don't know when. Eventually the casing cracks open and it generates an oil leak. And then from there, your days are numbered. Mine's going to go bang at some point, but I do want to get as much life out of this as possible. It doesn't really matter too much because the repair is still the same. It's not like some parts of the cab where if it fails, then it causes more problems further on down the line. When the ERAD goes, they just drop the rear axle out, they replace it all, it goes back in. It doesn't cause any further damage. So partly that, I'll just run it until it goes. Hopefully it doesn't go at work or if I'm away from somewhere, and I'll get it recovered to a garage. Because an ERAD reconditioned is about £1,800. Brand new, they're about £4,000. I don't have that kind of money sitting around at the moment, as I've just moved into a property, and also my turbo recently went. I'll tell you all about the turbo in another video, but yeah, that was a saga in itself. So I'm sitting on borrowed time with this ERAD. Hopefully it doesn't go in this shift or any other shift, or fundamentally when any passengers in. I just want it to go by myself when I'm in town or driving around my local hometown. Let's wait here at the RAC.
In this instance, just 7 minutes. And the lady wishes to go to the Sanderson Hotel. Now, you'd have seen that. I did that in my recent video where I attempted to navigate London blindfolded. So, if I can do it blindfolded, I'm sure I can do it with vision. Spin it around on Pall Mall, and we're going to go up Waterloo Place. It then becomes Regent Street, St James's, and we're going to go through Piccadilly Circus. Leave that by Shaftesbury Avenue, and ideally, we want Wardour Street. Now, you could go along Shaftesbury Avenue and get the left into Wardour, but if traffic's a little bit heavy, I'll cut through a little bit of Soho. Left into Great Windmill Street, right Brewer Street, and left Wardour Street. From here, it's just straight up. Gets a little bit heavy at the top of Wardour Street, go past the London Addition on the right hand side, and then up to the Sanderson. She's actually after this little nail bar on the right hand side, so we just stop her short there. Even with the Wardour Street traffic, this job took just 7 minutes. Manic Mondays, love it. Now, good time to have a little bit of a break.
Now, it's come up to 6 o'clock. I'm feeling a bit hungry because I've been at E1's all day doing some filming. That's where the sponsor of today's video, YFood, comes in. And you'll want to pay attention because they've got a huge Black Friday sales. Yes, from the 12th to the 18th of November, they're doing 30% off site-wide. Plus, if you use my discount code of Taxi-YouTube, you'll get 5% off of that price. That's on pretty much everything site-wide, so go nuts with that. Today I'm rocking, I've got smooth vanilla, and you know what, I'm actually gonna go with a happy banana flavour. YFood are a ready-to-drink meal which tastes like your favourite milkshake. Each bottle contains 500 calories, so it's gonna leave you full until your next meal. And you haven't got to worry about the milk going off because it's actually made of long life milk. So they're always easy just to keep at home, chuck one in your bag before you go to work, and good to go in a moment's notice, like right now. I've been at E1 Taxi since 1 o'clock. There's not really a great deal of options around there, and I've come straight from there into work. No need to park, no downtime, guzzle one of these on the go and get straight back out there.
Thanks again to YFood for supporting the video, and now let's get back to, hopefully, a bit more work.
We're 3 jobs in, so we're doing okay, but we've only done little ones. I mean, that was only £9.80 from the RAC up to here, and that's cool. It's nice to move about so well on Mondays, but I think I might have to think outside the box here. Like this Fitzrovia area, I feel like there could be some offices, maybe people who are out having sort of bit of social with friends, like the lady I took to Dehems earlier. So people that aren't really as affected by, like, you know, say having kids and school holidays and stuff. Because if you go around the same theatres and that, like, there'll be work there, but there'll be a lot of cab drivers vying for that work as well. So I'm going to try something a bit different. Don't know what that looks like yet.
Now, I was thinking about a bit of a different tactic here, But then I find myself on Oxford Street. And as I'm traversing westbound, I notice there's not many taxis heading east with lights on. So, it makes sense for me to go head to the west. And luckily enough, this pays off for me. Just by Bond Street station, this hand goes up. This couple are after the Royal Albert Hall. I have a simple choice here. Do I use Park Lane and come in from Knightsbridge, or do I go through the park? In this case, I opt for the latter. So, Oxford Street going past Selfridges on the right hand side and around Marble Arch. Forward into Bayswater Road, we're going to get a left into the Victoria Gate. Through the West Carriage Drive and over the Serpentine Bridge, traffic does build up a little bit here, but that can sometimes happen when the Royal Albert Hall is loading up. We get the right out onto Kensington Gore, just dropping the passenger there. All in taking 20 minutes. As I'm this far west, it would make sense to head to the Harrods area. Now normally I would try get on the ranks, get on the back door, something like that, but all the approaches to get to it are quite heavy. So I head along Brompton Road, and luckily I get this hail here on Brompton Road. This couple are after the Westminster Park Plaza. Now I can see that going straight ahead through Brompton Road is pretty difficult. This is my usual Trevor Square trick, where I get a left into Lancelot Place, left and a right into Trevor Square, and leave that by Trevor Street to get a right into Knightsbridge. Now, Knightsbridge doesn't look much better, but I do have a little bit of a bus lane here to cut it down, and arguably it's no worse than Brompton Road. So if Brompton Road's busy, I might as well try this. We eventually get through into Knightsbridge and peel off onto Hyde Park Corner, going around Hyde Park Corner and down into Constitution Hill. Get the right hand lane here, so we're going to go around the Queen Victoria Memorial, leave that by Spur Road and left into Birdcage Walk. As always, it is a little bit slow through Great George Street. Check out this interesting number plate. Well, I'll let you figure out what embassy that's come from, but we eventually make it into Parliament Square. Forward Bridge Street, forward Westminster Bridge, left into that little taxi slip road bit there before dropping off out the front just at 7 o'clock. There's no cabs on the rank, and I'm lucky enough to have an instant on and off job. And probably the longest job of the day so far, these people want to go to Paddington Station. So you've got to leave it by that little slip roady bit like I said before, and then you get out onto York Road. Now you can't turn right here and it is cambered up. So go up York Road, do a little taxi manoeuvre before coming back down. Around the Westminster Park Plaza, forward into Westminster Bridge Road, forward Westminster Bridge, forward Bridge Street and back to Parliament Square. We're going to go around it, go back through Great George Street and along Birdcage Walk. Thankfully, it flows much better westbound. Another good example of east to west is best. Right into the Spur Road, going past the Queen Victoria Memorial and leave that by Constitution Hill. Around Duke of Wellington Place and into Hyde Park Corner. Leave that by Park Lane, charge it all the way up there and around Marble Arch. Now I take the left into Bayswater Road. I very seldom go up the Edgware Road to drop Paddington Station. Edgware Road can get a bit sticky after 7 o'clock because that's when the parking restrictions finish, so lots of people park up on the Edgware Road. I'm just going to wiggle it through Tyburnia. So Bayswater Road, right Hyde Park Street, left Hyde Park Crescent and left into Southwick Street, left Sussex Gardens, right Norfolk Place and left into Praed Street. Dropping them as close as I can to the lights here. Job taking just 20 minutes. Now my luck with that on and off job seems to very quickly wear off, as it takes me 40 minutes to find my next job. I even try looking at the stations as well. Marylebone Station, but looks very ranked out. This is looking a little bit tricky. But after nearly 40 minutes of searching, I have this hand go up on Baker Street. The gentleman's after Queen's Park. So we spin ourselves, we head northbound on Baker Street before I ask him specifically where in Queen's Park he's after. He just says Keslake Road. Don't know off the top of my head, but it's just off of Harvest Road. So from Baker Street, we've got to get ourselves onto the Marylebone Road. I go all the way up, get a left into York Street and go over Gloucester Place. Continuing forward into York Street. I'm going to get right into Knox Street because that cuts out the traffic lights at the top of Gloucester Place and I can peel out very neatly into the bus lane. Forward into the Marylebone Road flyover, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off the slip road here. I don't want to carry on along the Westway, and thankfully I've not made that mistake before. Go round the Bishopsbridge Roads roundabout, and I'm going to leave by Warwick Avenue. Left Formosa Street and a right into Sherland Road. From here we get the right into Fernhead Road, left into Kilburn Lane, right Premier Corner and left Brondesbury Road. Immediately after Queen's Park Station we take the right into Harvest Road, right Milman Road and a left into Keslake Road. The cool thing about Mondays is that as quick as you can get the job out there, you can come flying on back as well. So about 20 minutes later, I'm straight onto Selfridges. Few spaces available on the back here, so it seems rude not to join this. Now I noticed this group of passengers go up to the cab in front and then look a little bit disheartened before coming down to my cab. It's never really a good sign. Now, they're after Burger and Lobster on the corner of Binney Street and Oxford Street. It's a pretty short job. They come over to me and said, oh, the driver in front refused us. And I said, well, I can take you, I don't mind it, but just to let you know, it is just after those lights there. In fact, if anything, it's probably going to take me longer to do it in the cab, and it's quite difficult for me to stop once I get there. No matter what the job is in the cab, I always let the passenger know that I will happily take them, because you never know the person's mobility requirements. There's a few of them. One of them might not be able to walk. They might have been walking all day. Who knows? And I let her know it's probably going to be likely to be like £5.40, £5.60 just to literally go across the road. Once I explain this to her, she seems a little bit more settled. Much like the lady in the first example, from Coventry Street to De Hems. Let her know it's really short, but she just said she didn't want to get any more lost. She just wanted to be in a safe pair of hands. Fine, happily do that. I eventually progressed to the front of the Selfridges rank. Astonishingly, it takes about 10 minutes. Quite long for that rank. Remember, on the RAC earlier, it was only 7 minutes. So yes, the rank is moving, but it still takes longer than what I experienced at the RAC earlier. This one's a good one, and it's a very Selfridges type job. Let's go into the Colton Tower in Belgravia, kind of Knightsbridge area. So to do it, we've got a U-turn off of the Selfridges rank, and I love that it's exactly the right size for the cab to do a complete U-turn without a shunt. And then the standard Knightsbridge drive. Left into North Audley Street, right into Green Street. Around Hyde Park Corner. I've got to come in via Grosvenor Crescent. We go around Belgrave Square, left into West Halkin Street, forward Lowndes Street, forward Cadogan Place, and get a right into the forecourt there. Nothing there and nothing around Knightsbridge, so I try some of the hotels in the St James's area. And leaving Tothill Street to come out by Westminster Abbey, I notice I miss out just on another job there as well. And this sometimes happens. It's just like there's activity there, but you just a little bit out of sequence. You know, you take one wrong turn in and you see the cab pick up in the position where you would have been if you took that turn in. Just luck of the game at the end of the day. I have to really hunt and look in all the corners. It could be that maybe I don't get a job until the theatres pop. Eventually, 35 minutes later, here on Garrick Street, I finally get a hand. And it's taken me to a new part of town I've not been today, which is the City of London. They're after the South Place Hotel. I know the South Place Hotel pretty well because when I didn't have very good internet at my house, I would go there and upload because there would be no upload restriction speeds. It was ridiculously quick. But also I went there with Sonny from the Best Ever Food Review Show, which is like the biggest food review channel on YouTube, to show him how to eat a full English breakfast. In terms of the run, we've just got to get out onto the Strand, go over the Aldwych and left into Fleet Street. What I'm going to do is take a left into Fetter Lane, forward New Fetter Lane, getting a right into Holborn Viaduct, forward Newgate Street, and left into King Edward Street, forward Little Britain, and bear right into Montague Street. Comply by the Rotunda, leave by London Wall, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and drop into South Place that way. So that's a left Moorgate, right South Place, and I'm going to take a left into Dominion Street because there's not much space out the front to drop off. It's only in a single lane, so I could potentially block traffic if I drop there.
Yeah, that was a painful 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so. Now over in the city, I mean, this place is just a ghost town on Mondays. Just gone, well, it's nearly 9:45 now, so I might as well go head in the direction of the Barbican. The only thing I've noticed now that the cab is like not got anyone in it, I'm not having conversations, is my ERAD is getting louder and louder, or it feels like it's getting louder and louder. Basically, I can just hear a knocking whenever I let off on the throttle, and you can just hear it go dunk, like a banging. It almost sounds like your tailgate is open or something like that. Apparently, it can go on for quite a while like that. It's audible enough that a passenger could hear it. You know, it's been through an MOT like that. It's not an MOT failure or anything like that. It's nothing catastrophic. It's not going to fall apart. It will just render the cab undrivable at some point. That will get fixed quite soon. It's just more than anything, it's just I hate driving a cab that just doesn't feel right. So that'll get sorted. Irregardless, I've got to go into money so I can go do said problems. School holidays this week is probably not going to be it. Double whammy as well, because private school kids were off last week and they're off again this week, and now public school kids are off this week. So you've got public and private school kids off. Just makes it super quiet. Lots of hands on the Aldwych apparently. So I need to get back to the Aldwych. Let's go in that direction.
Now, I leave Dominion Street. I'm forced left in the South Place because of roadworks. And, astonishingly, a hand goes up. This I was not expecting, especially on Monday in the city. Turns out it's a French family, and presumably they've just come in via Stansted, hence Liverpool Street. They're after the Mercure London Bridge. There's a few ways of running this, and part of me really wants to kind of go through Bank Junction. The only reason I don't is because I'm not too sure if King William Street is open. I just take it easy and just use left London Wall, forward Wormwood Street, do the right into Bishopsgate, as it's now after 7 PM, we can run it down that way, forward Gracechurch Street, forward through the late great Swire Junction, before getting over London Bridge. You could, if you wanted to cut it up a little bit, use Monument Street, Fish Street Hill to bring you out onto Upper Thames Street, and then you would use Southwark Bridge Road, get a right into Southwark Street. But I think there's too many traffic lights if you do it that way. You could be risking it a bit. So I might as well just go straight. I can see that London Bridge is clear, Borough High Street's clear, right into Southwark Street, forward, set down on left. Easy. Dropping them at 10 o'clock. Now, we're ready for theatre time. This is always like the most golden moment. If you know you can be getting over Waterloo Bridge about 10 o'clock, you're likely to be on top of a job very quickly. Forward Lancaster Place, and I noticed the traffic here is building up on the right hand side. Now, I've learnt my lesson from this. I generally used to love going straight forward over the Aldwych, right? Because all the stuff on the Strand generally finishes a bit before 10, and then the stuff on the Aldwych is a bit later on. But I've had it before where I sit in that right hand lane, cabs come up on the left hand side, which they can do because they might want to turn left onto the Strand, and then a hand goes up for them. So with how slow it's been today, I'm thinking I'm just going to keep to the left hand lane, do a left on the Strand and have a little look at the theatres there. Nothing much on the Strand, so I spin round, head for the Aldwych before getting this hand at the lights here by Catherine Street. This gent's just come out of Mamma Mia. Now, this gent gets in and gives me probably the worst news of my shift. He says, "Driver, there's a phone back here." Before I explain the logistics on that, let's get through this job. This gent just wishes to go to the Zedwell Hotel. Absolutely hate dropping this hotel because it's right there on Great Wimwell Street. I think if ever you can drop that hotel without getting a horn blasted at you, you have the Midas touch. The only downside to this route is it's West End to the West End. when you do stuff that short, it can be really difficult, especially at this time of night. The only real way of doing this, because of the way I'm pointing on the Aldwych, is to get a left into Drury Lane, then I get a left into Long Acre, right Bow Street, forward Endell Street, left Shelton Street, which then brings you back into Upper St Martin's Lane, to then get a right into Cranbourne Street. From this point, we're basically bang opposite Leicester Square. Take a right into Charing Cross Road. I know the traffic's going to be pretty naff here, but it's not much I can do. Once we get through Charing Cross Road, it's a left into Shaftesbury Avenue, left into Great Windmill Street, and yep, there it goes. There's the horn. Now, what about that phone?
We have a slight predicament. It's 20 past 10, and this has been found in the back of the cab. Yes, a phone. Been a while since that's happened. Now, normally you make a habit of just looking over your shoulder as you go. Now, thankfully, I know it's the French people that I dropped off at the Mercure. Annoyingly, though, it's now 20 past 10, and there's loads of people coming up the theatres here. So I think I'm going to do a few jobs here, because I might get one in that direction anyway. And then the best thing for me to do is just go return that to the hotel reception. Should be pretty easy to return that. Maybe I won't get a reward for it because they might have gone to bed. Who knows? But I'm not going to be in tomorrow. And TfL guidance says that I have to... Hello? No. But TfL guidance says that I have to return it within like 24 hours, which is silly because if, I'm not at work tomorrow. So it's... Anyway, it will get returned. But I've got to make a few quid first.
Now, different cab drivers have different ways of approaching this. One of the most unique examples I ever had, I dropped some Americans at the Hard Rock Cafe, noticed the phone was in the back, did the next job, parked up, went into the Hard Rock Cafe, saw them, handed the phone back to them. They gave me a nice reward because they were really quite thankful for the fact I came back and saw them. And then I picked them up later on that evening, randomly, street hail, like hours later. Small world is London. But there's other ways of dealing with it. One that sort of doesn't sit well with me is when customer phones up and says, I want the phone now. You'd say that obviously, look, I'm working right now. I need to come here to work, or I'm out to earn money. It's not my fault that you've left your phone in my cab. And if the customer is insistent they want their phone, you say, well, okay, I can come return it right now, but I'm going to turn the meter on and you've got to pay the meter for me to come over there, because otherwise, if I'm going to you and I have to give up my work to come return the phone to you, I'm losing out on money, right? And if they say, well, no, I'm not doing that, cab driver would just say, well, I'll return it to the lost property office. And to be fair, you're doing them a huge favour, because I believe if you take it to the lost property office, you get, I think, £50 from TfL or something like that, but then the customer then has to pay TfL lost property as part of the processing fee, like an admin fee maybe. Might also be a way of incentivising people to return stuff, who knows. I need to just carry on my shift, earn a few quid whilst it's still good in town. I just go straight along the Haymarket and I get a job straight away. These people are after the Lamb and Flag pub. Beautiful little pub, probably way overly touristy-fied now because of just how popular it's become online and such. But it's one of those real annoying West End to West End jobs. This would be impossible on a Thursday, Friday, or even on the weekend. But we'll give it a good go here on Monday. Left Orange Street, going around the back of the National Gallery, left into Irvine Street, then get a left into Charing Cross Road. Obviously, Charing Cross Road builds up with quite a bit of traffic here. We're pretty close here. I just need to get this right turn into Great Newport Street. But sadly, my passengers bail out. I was only on that job for 5 minutes. They pay, they're happy to go. They're kind of about halfway there now anyway. Just want to get a few more jobs whilst we're in the West End here. So I take the right into Great Newport Street, and as I commit to it, the hand goes up. I make sure not to fully drive into Great Newport Street. Now, these two people held me down. The final destination is Sidmouth Road, corner of Bronsbury Park, which I remember as the Cambodian Embassy. I love the Cambodian Embassy because it's like nowhere near any other embassy. And when you look at it, it just looks like a real nice suburban detached house. The only giveaways is a big Cambodian flag out the front of it with like Angkor Wat and stuff. But one of the passengers is getting out midway, and that's in the Warwick Avenue area. Not going to share exactly where. This person is actually a very well-known household name in the comedy world. That's all I'm going to say. It always is quite fun when you get celebrities in the cab, but at the same time, really terrifying what I need to do is basically get onto the Marylebone Road for that first drop in the Warwick Avenue area. So, straight up Tottenham Court Road, left into Howland Street, forward New Cavendish Street, and a right into Bowles-Over Street. Go over the roads there, and we get that little wiggle around the top of Great Portland Street. That's one of my favourites. Get the left onto the Euston Road, and that then becomes Marylebone Road, forward over the Marylebone Road flyover, and leave that by the slip to go around the Bishopsbridge Road roundabout, and leave by Warwick Avenue. What we're going to do is I'm actually going to get to Sidmouth Road, Brondesbury Park. It seems to be a bit quicker, according to the sat-nav. Take the right into Harrow Road, right into Kilburn Lane, forward Chamberlain Road, and just forward that all the way up, bears round, and becomes Sidmouth Road. So just drop the gen on the side there. Nice.
With every high in this job, there invariably comes a low. I'm up in like Brondesbury Park. It doesn't get any better than that in terms of north. Like when you live like North London, because the North Circular is so epic, it doesn't really matter if you end up like northwest like this. You can jump straight on the North Circular. But there's only one problem. This bloody thing. I've got to get this back to its rightful owner. Now, they've already phoned me. I set it up in a cradle so I can answer the phone whilst driving, put it on loudspeaker and say, yeah, no problem, I'll be back, whatever. Just so that it gives them some kind of peace of mind and comfort. Fine. It's usually easier in the day because you can rendezvous with like where they're going and what you're doing, right? To get back to the Mercure London Bridge from here, it's a 33-minute drive. It's 7.8 miles. So it's just completely all shades of wrong. I mean, you could, in theory, it's well within my right to say, look, it's not convenient to me. I'll take it to the police station. They'll give it to Lost Property Office. You go collect that. They're travellers here, right? They're French. They were visiting London. That's not going to do them any world of good. And it's not going to be a good reputational thing at all. This is just the moral dilemmas you have with this. So kind of annoying because by the time I get there, they're probably going to go to bed. So with this, I'm just going to have to swallow it, I think. Just take it back, because if I was working tomorrow, I would definitely return it tomorrow. That would just be the more easiest thing to do, because they're probably doing touristy things, whatever. I better get my skates on. Right, see you in a bit.
I've just got to turn my light off and head straight there. Thankfully, it is a Monday. We can just use the big roads, just get ourselves out onto the Marylebone Road, through the Euston Underpass, Euston Road, do a right into Upper Woburn Place, and just follow it all the way down into the Kingsway, around the Aldwych, get a nice view over Waterloo Bridge, now that London's a bit quieter, left into Stamford Street, forward Southwark Street, and park up there. Now, it's nearly midnight, so I imagine my passengers with teenage daughters probably aren't up at this hour. So, I make sure to leave a couple of my business cards on the back of the phone.
What am I doing? Can't get in.
Maybe they'll call me and say thank you. Maybe they'll send me a WhatsApp message just saying thanks. Maybe they'll go, oh wow, you took a whole hour out of your day. How can we repay you? I turn up to the hotel.
I bet there's probably no one on reception. Oh, yeah. Hey man, I have a guest who left a phone in my taxi earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you.
No problem, man.
Cheers.
Thank you. There you go. Phone reunited. That's added an extra hour on my day, but it can't always go your way. And I am a believer in karma.
But in answer to the question, what reward did I get? Nothing. I didn't even get a message from the family. No thanks, nothing. It's the only thing I don't like about returning the phone to a third party, because you never know whether that reception man said, oh yeah, I had to pay the cab driver £50, give me £50. And obviously that would be a very good reason why they don't want to give me a message. The reception man might have got rid of my business cards entirely. Who knows? Fundamentally, it was the daughter's phone as well, so I can't imagine how stressful that might be if they're visiting London for a few days, the phone goes missing, that could really screw up the entire trip. I done the right thing. Whether I got the right reward or not, who knows?
Thank you for watching. I'm going to drive home now.
If you've made it this far, then please do hit that subscribe button. And if you want to find out a bit more about some of those sticky issues within the taxi, such as what happens with lost property, what happens if someone can't pay the fare, then I've made a video all about that over here.